just realized my reading went down star-wise as the month went on, so that's sad. Hello everyone, my name is Joanna and today we are here for my January wrap-up. Let's go. I read 7 books in the month of January, a lot thanks to the medievalathon readathon, so thank you, that's still going on. Check out the vlogs. What is this? I'm sorry, I've been watching too many TikToks. Yeah, okay, let's get started. So as usual, I haven't made a wrap-up in like months. We're going to start with the first book that I read this month and then with the last book that I read this month, which is actually the highest rated from the lowest rated. So the first book that I read this month was actually a reread, and it was Every Heart a Doorway by, this is the wrong book, Every Heart a Doorway by Shannon McGuire. I always like to start my year with a reread, and since the Wayward Children books always come out in the beginning of the year, they always come out in January I think, they're the great reread to start the year. So this year I reread Every Heart a Doorway. I'm sure you know what this is about, everyone knows what this is about. This is a bunch of kids who go through doors to magical worlds that fit them well, a la Narnia, and when they come back they are really heartbroken about not being in the world that was so well made for them. This is a 4.5 read. I don't really change ratings on my rereads usually, so it stays at 4.5. I love it. I think this is my second favorite out of the 3 that I've read. Then I read Will My Cat Eat My Eyeballs by Caitlin Doughty. This is a non-fiction where Caitlin answered questions about dead bodies basically, and death, and what can you do with your dead relatives, and if your cat will eat your eyeballs, which turns out maybe. I don't really watch Caitlin's channel. I think I've watched a couple of videos, so a lot of the information was new to me. I don't know a lot about like dead bodies. So if you also don't know a lot about dead bodies, I think you'll learn a lot. This was really sweet. Even though it talked about death for like 5 hours, I listened to the audiobook. But it was really precious. I really liked it and I gave it 4 stars. Next I read Beneath the Sugar Sky. No, this is the right one by Shannon McGuire. I give this one 4 stars. I think this one is my least favorite in the series. I think it goes Down Among the Sticks and Bones, Every Heart a Doorway, and then Beneath the Sugar Sky. This kind of like picks up from where Every Heart a Doorway left. So this is a sequel to Every Heart a Doorway, while Down Among the Sticks and Bones is a prequel. I think that's right. And I don't know, I listened to a lot of this on audiobook as well. I really enjoy the audiobooks for this book, this one and Every Heart a Doorway. But in this book, the child of a character who was thought dead in Every Heart a Doorway comes to the Wayward Children home, Eleanor's Home for Wayward Children. Is that what it's called? I think so. And the plot develops from there. We follow some characters from Every Heart a Doorway, and we follow some new characters as well. These books always deal a lot with some social justice issues, some human rights issues. Honestly, this one dealt a lot with fat bodies, which I really liked. However, I did think it was a bit like it was a bit repetitive. Like, I get it, you know, you don't need to keep making the same point over and over again. But I'm really involved in the whole body acceptance movement, I guess, and people who talk about that, so maybe that was just me, and if you're not involved in the community you won't feel the same way. However, the writing was still beautiful. I really enjoyed the banter between the characters. We had like, this is kind of like an adventure story, like kind of a road trip. This has like road trip vibes, and I did really like it. So 4 stars for Beneath the Sugar Sky. Then I read Heartstopper by Alice Oseman. This is sign in personal life. Ha ha ha, be jealous of me. This is a web series, so you can actually read this for free, but like, look at these cute ass editions, like, no spoilers, buy them, honestly they're so cute. And it's about 2 boys, two boys whose names I've forgotten, Nick and Charlie. I didn't need to check, I actually remembered. And it's the whole going through coming out and first relationships and first loves and friendships, and it also touched a lot on meshing friend groups. So when you make a new friend or when you have a romantic partner, meshing with those person's other friends, I think that was really interesting, because that can be really hard to navigate, especially for teenagers. So that was really cool that this book touched on that so heavily. Honestly, this is like just precious. This is so sweet. I think the third volume gets a little bit deeper and like darker and more sad, but this was precious. I loved it. 4 stars. I really want to read Alice Oseman's other books because I've only read the Heartstopper series so far. So if you have any recommendations, like what's your favorite? Which of them have characters from this series? Because I know Nick and Charlie are secondary characters in another book, but I don't know which one that is, so like let me know if you know. Thank you. Then for the last book that I actually own, I read The Dreamers by Karen Thompson Walker. This is kind of like sci-fi fabulism. That's how I describe it, at least. This one college girl falls asleep and she can't wake up, and from there more people in this really small college town keep falling asleep and no one can wake them up, and it turns out they're having some like weird dreams. I think I like the premise more than the execution, which is a thing that happens to me a lot, and I don't really think about it when I'm reading books, and then I'm like, oh well, maybe why is my cat shaking my... Thank you, Nina. Thank you, sweetie. I somehow get lost in how much I love the premise of a book when I go to rate it and don't take into account how much I love the execution. I also listened to this on audiobook as well as I read it physically, and it's good, and I kind of like teared up a little bit at the end, but I think it could have been done better. And the way this wraps up, being in a pandemic right now, the way this wraps up, it's very strange. If you read this, I think you understand. I kind of wish I was more connected to the characters in The Dreamers. I wasn't really overly worried about any of them. But yeah, that's it. If you like the whole sci-fi fabulism aesthetic, read this because I think it was very good in that way. I gave it 4 stars at first, but I actually lowered it to 3.5 stars, but still a really good read. Then I read for the 20-something book club Watch Over Me by Nina LaCour. The 20-something book club, I say this in every video, but like go join because they're both amazing. This is hosted by Mafalda and Casey. I'll link them down below. Go. Nina is still shaking my phone. Thank you, queen. Anyway, go follow them. The live show was so much fun. We got like into a whole spiel about everything that hadn't had to do with the book, so that was great. Watch Over Me is about this girl who goes to this house to work / be taken care of. That sounds like she's getting murdered. She goes to this house to be a teacher. She's 19, which is weird, but anyway, she goes to this house to be a teacher and to live with his family, and in this house there's some ghosts. And through these ghosts, she has to deal with trauma that she had during her childhood and during growing up. This book needed more therapists. This book, that's like maybe my degree, my education makes me biased, but I just think this book needed more therapists. There was a lot of trauma for a lot of these kids, and no therapist inside, and honestly, like, I'm worried. However, I did think this had a great discussion about trauma and about grief and about what being a good person means. I think it did have a very good message about how decisions aren't inherently good or bad, and a lot of it has to do with the context around that decision that you've made. I have very similar feelings to it as I did with Nina LaCour's other book. We Are Okay. I feel very similarly about them in the way that my cat just like zoomed. In the way that I feel like I needed more from it, but overall I gave Watch Over Me 3 stars. Love the discussion for the 20-something book club. I enjoyed the book. I think it's fine. I do recommend it if you like Nina LaCour's other books. Last but not least, and for my first 1-star read of the year, I have Follow the River by C. Ritchie. I made a whole video about this, so I'm not gonna talk about it too much. I made a whole video about why we need trigger warnings in fiction. This was really, really bad, and I mean, the writing was fine. It was a self-published book. I wish it had some more editing and some more spell checking, but it was fine. However, the themes of the book, the lack of trigger warnings, the kind of disrespectful nature of the author and the author's notes towards their future reader base. Didn't like that. No, didn't like that very much. I'm not going to tell you what this is about because I don't think you should read it. And yeah, if you want to hear me talk some more about trigger warnings and why they're important, do go watch that video. That is all for all the books that I read in January. Finally a short video. Wow, can you believe it, from me? Who would have thought? I hope you enjoyed this. Don't forget to subscribe, to leave me a like, and to comment. Let me know what your favorite book was that you read this month, and what was your worst book that you read this month as well. You know, for some spice. I think my best book was, not counting rereads, it was either Beneath the Sugar Sky with Will My Cat Eat My Eyeballs, and my worst one was clearly Follow the River. So with that, I'll see you next time. Bye!